Yo, hello there guys, I hope you're doing beautifully well. Mikey here, and we are going to be checking out the trailer for Dune Part 3. This has caught me ever so slightly off guard, so we're going to watch it through quietly, talk about Dune, come out the other side. But before we do, I just want you guys to know that on this channel, The Megaverse, I am reading the Dune audiobook right here if you're ever interested, so come subscribe and listen in. Or my other channel, Film Cram, I have actually made recaps of the great Dune trilogy, including the 1984 one. They're all really good. It's all passion, zero AI, all Mikey. Come check it out. I'm very excited. Let's go.
If we have a girl, what will we name her?
Her name should be Ganima. She would need to be strong, like her mother. What if it's a boy?
I would name him Leto. So he would have the wisdom of his grandfather.
War feeds on itself. The more I fight, the more our enemies fight back. I'm doing the best I can to protect my family. How did Father do it?
Your father never started a war.
I'm not afraid to die. But I must not die. Yet.
My god. So basically guys, I was just streaming and chilling out, and then somebody was like, Mikey, the Dune trailer's out. Okay, right, let's talk through this. Firstly, just for a little bit of context, I'm a bit of a Dune fanboy. I love Dune very, very, very much. I've read the first book many, many times. Again, if you want to listen to the audiobook of me reading through, bang through it. The great Dune trilogy is amazing. Dune goes on for another 6 books, and then the guy's son takes over, and we don't talk about him, but just know it's amazing. But I am way less familiar with Dune Messiah, Book 2, and Children of Dune, Book 3. And what's going on here, as far as I'm aware, is Villeneuve has split the first book into 2 films, and he's squeezing the second 2 books into 1 film, as far as I'm aware. So Dune Part 3 is a bit of a cherry picking of Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. Now, we're going to talk through everything that we've just seen on here, but what I'm basically building up to say is that this is not as strong in my memory as some other stuff, but everything that's come up on screen is something that we need to talk about in great detail. But firstly, I actually just want to talk about the tone of this trailer overall. Listen to just these audio and these key noises.
You need to be strong.
I would name him Leto.
Low, off-key notes, loads of bass,
On itself.
loads of atmosphere,
The more I fight,
low
the
tones.
more our enemies fight back.
So these are all the so these are all like, obviously this is a confluence of trem and guttural tribal noises bringing up. But have you ever seen when indigenous Maori tribes want to make a statement in a court of law, and they're "Horari Tasana," and it builds these rhythm that's also a bit similar, because the Fremen go on blood wars. It's also a bit similar to how like Viking clans would stand around a fire the night before they go on a raid, and they'd get juiced up and get into these mindsets. And so you've got this whole rough, guttural thank you, kind of a bit like the Hacker, a rough, I think that's like parallel. You've got these rough, guttural, like throat sounds and stuff, and it's doing two things. One, in this trailer, it's underlying all the energy of the trailer, but on top of this trailer you're hearing like the la 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 da 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 in the strings, da na 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 na, because it's bringing you into the Dune stuff. Does anybody remember the trailer for Dune Part 2? Sorry, let's have a quick look, because there's one of them where it had a cover to a Pink Floyd song, and it was like da na 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 da da na, I think, To the Wall or something. But it had that na 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 was still in there as well. Okay, can we go back? It's like Dune Part 2 official trailer something. I'll try to cut this out if this is 5 minutes of looking. Here we go. Can you hear? It's got the same strings. It has been like 3 years since I heard the Part 2 trailer, and this took me right there. It has got the same strings building in this energy, but on top of a different bass noise.
Look who's back from the dead.
So this Part 2, all these are female lyric songs. It's still loads of voice noises because it's from the Fremen, it's for populace, it's for tribe. But this is the hopeful. This is the climb back up towards the top, with the strings implying universal cosmic heat death levels of danger. We're going to talk about Kralizak in just a moment.
I'll do what must be done.
No, no, no.
We gave them something to hope for.
That's not hope!
I will love you as long as I breathe.
This prophecy is how they enslave us!
It's not a prophecy.
Okay, let's not make it all about something we've watched before, but can you hear how they're bringing that? But now we're in a completely different place in town, kids. It's slower, it's bassier, it's deeper, it's conflict, it's cost. This is galactic genocide. But it's got this through line to the feeling. Now, the reason why I just wanted to start by talking about the rhythm of this trailer is because as we learn more about the Fremen culture in the books, as you know, one of the most important things to do is to walk without rhythm, because rhythmic vibrations attract sandworms. And so in the later books, there's this whole thing about they have this like cultural process. I don't even know if it's legal or if it's actually related to their drug culture and like getting like drunk and stuff. But what they do is they all go around in a circle and they sing a song and they stamp their feet to the rhythm. And the person in the middle of the circle has to keep dancing in like a frenzy, and they have to stay off rhythm. So it's an imposed dance that speaks against your very genetics of wanting to go to the pace. And so you dance in the middle, off beat. And if you accidentally start dancing to the beat, they like beat you up or something. It's so weird. So this has that vibe, and everybody is crowding around like Alia in an earlier shot. Like it's almost something like that. So bear that in mind, because we'll come to it when we come to it. But let's kind of work up through the pace. Let me have a sip of tea. Everybody who's watching, how are you getting on? What are your thoughts on Dune and this trailer so far? We're going to go step by step. Okay. So what have we got going on? That's a lot of casually available water. A lot of casually... So, in the later Dune books, the very, very first elements of the terraforming are starting to take effect. I think by like Children of Dune, there's areas in the planet where you can walk around without a still suit on and stuff, because they've managed to lock moisture out of the air and into the ecosystem.
If we have a girl, what will we name her?
Her name should be Ganima.
This is all cool. That's a very small kite. Ganima. So I always used to call this Ganima in the books. And even this is subtle. It's not like, what should we call our kids? Do you notice she's not like, what do we call our children? She's like, what do we call our baby?
She would need to be strong, like her mother.
Do you see how he rubs that rag over his head? Do you know what that's visually evocative of? Apocalypse Now. Have you guys all seen Apocalypse Now? And that bit where you meet Marlon Brando at the end? And he washes the water rag over his head. And he talks about what he's done, because that's about a military commander who goes way too deep in Vietnam. I think he goes out of Nam into like Burma or something. And he's committing atrocities like a mad warlord in the midst of insanity. And there's a bit where like I think our Martin Sheen character or something like gets to meet him and talk to him, and he's just like, I have done terrible things. Have you come to kill me? Cambodia. Oh, it spills into Cambodia. Yeah, it's horrific. But even just this little gesture, this is like less monk religious tonsure cleaning and more just evocative of, because like this is post-pogrom. This is really bad. So sorry, I forgot to say in the very beginning, Dune is an amazing book for a number of reasons. And it's all about like what can happen and what steps you can take to survive. And the next two Dune books are all about reaping what you sow. They are all about the consequences of the steps you've taken in Dune. So the tone of this film is going to be fascinating.
What if it's a boy?
I would name him Leto.
What if it's a girl, Ganima? What if it's a boy, Leto? They are only expecting one baby. As you know, one of the driving themes for Paul in the first Dune movie was, I need to keep myself and my mum alive. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to leverage some of the religious indoctrination that's been pre-installed in the local populace by the Bene Gesserit, who are the equivalent of trying to guide the future, and then they're part driving the future and they're part like Henry Kissinger CIA like scumbags. Depends on what you value in them. And so if he leverages that too much and gets the ball rolling too far, it will spill out into universal war. And if he doesn't leverage it enough, then him and his mum will die on Arrakis. And so what he does is he's used his prescient vision to try to follow what he calls the golden path. And basically in the first film, that is using his prescience to get them out of danger without rolling the ball too far. Spoiler alert, if you've seen Dune Part 1 and 2, it rolls a little too far. Watch my recaps on Filmcram. Now we enter the bigger problem and the bigger picture. There's a reason why Paul Atreides exists. That's the Bene Gesserit breeding program. Why were the Bene Gesserit doing that breeding program in the first place? Was it just to control a god boy? Or was it for something more important? And that more important thing is ultimately making humanity survive. And what I mean is, and I'm sorry, let me just drink more of this. And what I mean is, he's trying to avoid the end of all humanity, which is something known as Kralizek. I don't know if that's also a Judeo-religious term. And basically, thanks to the Golden Path, Paul can see down and deep into the future now. And the deeper he looks and follows the path of humanity, not just within his lifetime, but the species, wherever he looks, he can look all the way to the end. And if you look toward the end, that means you're seeing the end of humanity. So Paul is trying to find the true golden path, a path where no matter how far you look, humanity still endures. And there's all the steps towards that. So that's ultimately the big idea of the Bene Gesserit. They do have a bigger good idea at hand, even if the short-term effects are awful to get there. And this golden path is affected by a number of things. If you imagine it in the books, it's kind of described as walking along a road, right? where you walk up and down lots of hills and valleys and peaks. So you can see the golden path, but sometimes like a bit of a path here is hidden in the immediate future, but you know that as long as you suffer it, the path is still clear, 200 meters away up a hill again in the further future. And it depends where you are on that path, how much of it you can perceive and how much of you can act upon. It's not just a straight guiding light. It's something you're constantly trying to find your way through in sifting sands. And so there's other variables, which is if you have the ability to read presciently through the future and see through the golden path, it makes you a black spot in other people's visions of that path. And so very particularly the Spacing Guild, those kind of people who are sort of wrapped up in weird helmets in the beginning of Dune, and who in the David Lynch versions of Dune are those giant flying like gooey Reddit moderators in those spice tanks. I was not here. This doesn't happen. We see plans within plans. I can't do the voice. I've lost it. But it means that now, in order to combat Paul, because the Bene Gesserit are pissed off at Paul, the Imperial families are pissed off at Paul, the rest of Chom is pissed off at Paul, and now even the Fremen are getting pissed off at Paul because they're starting to taste the coffee for everything that's going on. Everybody is now turning against this leader because he burnt all the bridges to reach the top of the pile to survive. And so now it means that the Spacing Guild and other people with powers of prescience who can see down the future become blind spots to Paul's vision. So if you want to start doing something against Paul, you want to start hanging around with Spacing Guild members whenever you talk about it, because he won't be able to see it. Mikey, where the hell is this going? What are you talking about? Thanks for your patience. That was the prep. Paul envisions in this film he's going to have a child. And here in the trailer, they speak about what they're going to name that one child, because Paul sees a child. They have 2 children. One of them is a blind spot to his own father. And in book 4...
So he would have the wisdom of his grandfather.
That becomes a big deal.
War feeds on itself.
Okay, so I'm assuming that this is going to basically be little more than a montage at the beginning of a film. A bit like the montage they had at the beginning of, and I burn myself fiercely in the eyes of the sun for mentioning it during a Dune film, but the montage they had at that last Star Wars movie, you know, the one where they shat the bed and they had to pretend that the middle film never happened and then rewrap everything up. Is it Rise of Skywalker? Or Revenge of the Jedi? Anyway. And there's that bit where Kylo Ren is flying around in a montage, going from planet to planet, killing people so that he can find a wayfinder. I'm assuming we're going to get a lot of planet-to-planet montage of the global pogrom, of the great jihad of the Fremen spilling out across the galaxy, across all the main planets and dukedoms of Chom, and pulling them under the thumb through violence because they wanted to refuse to accept his rule because he was upsetting the status quo at the end of part 2. So that's what I sort of assume all this is. This. So here we've got Paul. Here we've got his sister. She looked great in part 2 in a flash forward. She looks fucking brilliant right here. Excuse my language. But just the way that they were surrounded by Fremen with this almost dwarven music playing circa the good parts of The Hobbit, not the rest of it, reminded me of that Fremen rhythmic song. Look, I mean, for all we know, that could be them taking out the rest of the Harkonnen homeworld, which Paul technically is in charge of, by the way. He actually inherited that. Look at these ambient shapes. So, look, hard edges. It's not Harkonnen. It's not got those black blobs. It could be Atreides because they use solid edges. But you kind of want to say that this is like an Imperial ship of some sort. And so, obviously you've got here the this is a slightly more triangulated shape this time. It's less shaped like the worm, but this is what appears to be the mouth of a guild ship folding space, which in this film they seem to visually actively do on the spot. Instead of folding space and moving stuff, they create like an actual tunnel. So look at this. More Imperial ships? Why do you say Imperial? Well, look at the stone that this is made of. Look at the patina that's on this. This follows, even though this is obviously a big fucking spaceship, the design and shape language of the Imperial ecological testing stations that were abandoned on planet in the first Dune movie. Do you remember when Paul was going around and he's using less prescience and he's using more cold reading and NLP? Sorry, let's get rid of that. To try to convince Liet Kynes to support his claim. And the building that they're in is ridged like this. Yes, the very building that poor Duncan Idaho sacrificed his life in. Asterisk. Let's keep watching.
The more I fight,
Sorry, no comment here. I just want to remind everybody that I am in love with Rebecca Ferguson. I have been for a number of years. Rebecca Ferguson, please let me cook you dinner. I love you so much. Just putting that energy out there.
the more enemies.
Oh, Bene Gesserit. So, angry Bene Gesserit, angry wife. As you know, she agrees to Paul's hand in marriage for sparing the life of her father. She's also the Bene Gesserit who's been trained to act as a concubine to the next emperor, whether that was going to be Paul or if that was going to be Fade Ralpha. Now, imagine a lady like that if you then completely spurned her and refused to give her any imperial children, forcibly locking her bloodline out of your imperial succession. PSD, thanks for the raid, bruv. Lovely to see you guys. There are 100 things to talk about here. The first one, most notably, is that although this follows a very simplistic flow line of sarcophagi, that it's like a chamber housing a human, it is also indicative of the flowing design lines from one of the later covers of a Dune book. I don't know if you guys remember it, but if you imagine a God Emperor of Dune book where it's a giant head on a worm with like weird shadowy light pillaring up, it's got some of this flow. Now, interestingly, you can see by the trees in the background and the shape language of this doorway, this looks like it's on the Imperial homeworld a lot more than it looks like it's on Arrakis. I know I mentioned earlier that Arrakis has terraforming by book 3, which is actually incredibly negative, but we'll talk about that further. But this whole vibe here, a floating tomb with something inside. What could be inside? Well, is it a gift? And if so, who's giving this gift? I fucking love Robert Pattinson so much. Look at Skytail! Look at Scytail, whatever you want to call him. So, where to begin? Many branches of humanity have kind of evolved and specialized in many things. And as you know, the main kind of vibe is there's a global jihad against AI technology. Thou shalt not make a machine that imitates a human mind, following the great... Sorry, let me just sit this. Following the Great Convention and I forget the name of the anti-AI uprising that happened, but it's named after a little girl or something. And my apologies for not knowing that name off the top of my head. If anybody does, drop the name of what is the jihad called against the AI uprising. Anyway, it means that various forms of humanity across various planets have hyper-specialized. The Butlerian Jihad, can of Coke. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit too overstimulated. That they've specialized. And many of them have done so in many different ways. Some have cheekily still developed technology. Some have specialized the type of humans they are. And some have created awful hyper-specializations of certain human traits. And there's a much better, more clinical way to say this, but there's like a misogyny planet, which is like taking a certain religion to a certain extreme where women are reduced to birthing chambers and men become hyper specialized, like agents of information that have a subclass of humans that are all mules and are all inert without necessarily personalities, but they can shapeshift and change their faces. There's a lot going on. So there's a character called Scytale, who is from a branch of a planet, who's from a cultural branch that occupies another planet, that ends up working with, because he's a specialist, but ends up working with a cabal of Bene Gesserit and guild members and so on to bring down the new God Emperor Paul Atreides, played by my boy Robert Pattinson. Never a casting choice I would ever have considered until I heard he was on a rap sheet. And as somebody who, I'm not saying it's my favorite Nolan movie, but as somebody who randomly has watched Tenet way more than I've watched any other one, including the Batmans now, and I don't know why, I just keep coming back to it. I love this man. This man is bringing a gift. Sorry guys, we're going to get there. I will finish sentences.
My family.
This looks fantastic, but I can only assume, is this just another planet takeover? It almost looks casual. It's a casual culling of people. Is it casual because they've got a different rhythm and energy to the shot setup and the choreography? Or is it casual as a design choice to describe to us visually that with enough brutality it stops feeling brutal, it becomes systematic? What is that filmmaking technique that I think is in a famous Akira Kurosawa documentary? Is anybody familiar with a filmmaking technique called Mu? M-U, I think. And basically, like, I think he uses the Seven Samurai as an example, where there's been like murder and battles and increasing conflict. And before the final battle in the village, you have to stop. You have to give way to Mu, where there's just like 5 minutes of footage of following the rain as it pours down the sheets and it pours into the pots and it goes down the gutters. And it's the film sitting back, breathing. Really weirdly, Ghost in the Shell does one itself. In the middle of the Ghost in the Shell animated movie, it has a moment of Mu. There is a 10-minute long segment where the character is just traveling around the city and you just get shots of the city to music. Shots of like the boats on the rivers, the shop markets. She makes eye contact with another person who's got the same cyborg rig as she has, and it's just set to the music. That could be in any part of that movie because it's not structurally necessary for the narrative. It is thematically and palate cleansingly necessary for the feeling and the rhythm of the movie. Not quite B-roll, but you're not a million miles off. So is this an example of what happens without Mu? Sorry, so the whole point of Mu is that in the end of the Seven Samurai, you have to spend that time not going from one fight to the other, not going from one battle to the other, otherwise it loses its impetus. You have to wind back before the final punch, which is you get that Mu so that the carnage and horror of that final battle feels again, so that you're not mute to it. And so this kind of slow shot, like we've seen what two armies look like when they're running at each other at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Allow me to take you back to my film crunch channel just really quickly, because I know it's in the end of one of my recaps. To stick as the Emperor. We know what it looks like when they're in battle. It's sandworms. It's intense. It's wild. There we go. That's what I wanted. Just Charlie running around. See, even without music, see all that energy there. The camera's frantic. They're all doing stuff. I'm talking about stuff. That's not what we've got here. What have we got here? What's this feeling? Slow, casual, slaughter. There's been no Mu. There's been no galactic Mu. And now the genocide that has rolled out, and I'm sure that's my boy Gurney Halleck over there wearing that helmet. It's rolled out, and now it's systematic casual murder of billions across the galaxy. But like the pace and this might just be a trailer thing, but the pace and rhythm of that is so different. Right, one sec. I've just got to wait for my YouTube now to catch up with my clicks. It's just having a little think. Oh. All right, tea break time. Give it 5 minutes. It's just having a think. Hello, YouTube. Hello. There we go. It's come back. I just assumed this was to show how strong the next level of Fremen are as warriors. I would have thought the same, except it's not like they're moving fast either. Do you know what I mean? No one's moving fast. This is two groups of people walking through each other. It might well be that that's just the feeling I'm getting from the trailer, but I can't help to wonder if that's a particular choice.
Father, do it.
Look at Paul wearing his Atreides green again. I don't even understand. I don't understand. Is this a flashback?
Your father never started a war.
It might be a flashback. Jessica might not even be in this movie. She might be off planet by now. After everything goes down and Paul's rule is secured, Jessica goes back to Caladan with Gurney Halleck. He becomes her side piece. Ah, look at this! Look at this! Okay, so 3 or 4 different things. You've got the sandstones of Dune. You've got the circles of the Imperium. And these kind of cut lines you see in the Emperor's Palace when it was flying over. And that line cuts out of it. Super randomly, you've got Virginia White of a woman presenting herself like some sacrifice, like some bride. She's caught up. She's rippling in the wind. So this whole presence of this lady is like, I don't know, is it Virginia? Or the way that everything's fluttering in the wind in all these different directions, is it tumultuous? Think your head's really randomly back to The Sandman. Did anybody watch the Sandman TV series, and particularly the episode where the Sandman goes to hell? And they re-put the devil as being in a female guise. They make Satan or Lucifer a woman. And the entrance to hell is literally a giant tube with a slit entrance that's bleeding. And that's like both obviously big female rep, but big, what do you call it? When you twist something to your own needs, a big twisting, a deformation. There's another word I want, a corruption of the visual and the idea. And this brings me with alarm bells back to Alia. We've got this kind of virgin kind of look, but like everything it's telling us was it's a different energy. And there is a great perversion and corruption to Alia. And again, I'm taking book 2 and book 3 of Dune, and I'm trying to squeeze them together in my head to think about this. But the corruption and perversion of Alia, or what is known in universe as the Abomination, is another fantastical thing that I can't help but wonder if that is not happening right here. I won't give you the details of the Abomination. I don't want this entire trailer reaction to be pure spoilers, but something horrifically inevitable can occur if you're able to dip into your own genetic memories. And Alia was dipping before she was born. Here's the gift. Is this Scytale's gift? Look, he was walking around with this thing. Now it's plugging into a wall. This, of course, I didn't say it earlier because I thought it was so obvious, but this, of course, is the Gola. The Tlilax and Scytale and their specialization that I was talking about earlier is that they are masters of genetics and DNA in a male sense, just like how the Bene Gesserit are in a female sense. And they can take a single cell and grow it back into a body and use that cell's genetic memory to bring the body back to life and remember things. However, the only way you can trigger access to a genetic memory from a cloned body isn't by drinking like the water of life and having like a trip back down your fatherhood. It's sorry. I've just come up for a new name with blowjobs. Why don't you take a trip back down my fatherhood? It's you have to actually incite horrific psychological trauma if you want a clone to remember its genetic memory. So the way that you build the body is like, oh cool, it's cloning. The way you make the body be the person is awful. So here I don't know if they're putting it into storage or if they're taking, or if they're, this is the bit where they're building the storage, but basically Scytale, that blonde guy from earlier who was from the Lord of the Rings season 1, The Rings of Power on Amazon, he presents Paul with a gift. And that gift is a genetic copy of my boy Duncan. She looks so hot like that. Why is that so attractive? Why is giving her a mullet turning me on? Is it because she's wearing a still suit? I don't know what I want anymore, guys. I think I'm really confused. Oh, one step earlier before we talk about him. God, this rhythm! Ah, yeah. Yeah. Oh dear. Again, I'm squeezing 2 books into one. For again, that's my understanding and reading of what I thought was going on in this film. I'm getting alarm bells seeing her in so many post-apocalyptic roles. God, yeah, I've still not watched the Mad Max film actually. Before Thunderdrome, whatever they called it. So yeah, okay. So me talking about the curves in the sandstone. So this is on Arrakis, I believe. This is the new palace. That is Alia, and it looks like she's gonna be there. I'm guessing this is Alia in white. It looks like she's gonna be there overseeing the gift. Forget the Assassin's Creed shape that we've got going on in here. Alia sitting and presiding over things helps give power to a part of her genetic lineage that likes that creepy control. And oh god, this whole scene is just setting my hair on edge because I think I know the context. Oh, now we're gonna have to look at his eyes in detail when the time comes. But when you make a Gola clone, you can't clone its eyes or something. There's a reason. I don't know why. So Golas, when you clone them, they have mechanical eyeballs. And I don't know if any of you guys are like Naruto anime fans. Not the Sharingan, the other bloodline one, the Rinnegan, where it's just like several concentric circles down to the middle, but there's no like pupil and stuff. So I think in the books, and I might be a miles off, so do correct me, but the Golas end up with like these brass gold-coloured Rinnegan eyes, but are just so artificial that see more than they should. And so this Duncan Idaho might have all the training of a sword master, all the skills, but he's not Duncan. He's the gift. In order to awaken the Duncan inside of him, something traumatic has to happen. So at the moment, this is kind of a different character. This is now, unsurprisingly, if you're going to get a gift from someone who looks like Scytale, it might be a bit of a poison apple. It might be a sword without a sheath. So you're going to have to keep an eye on what's going on here. This bit, this fight, this combat, I don't know. I don't know if this is just Paul testing that his gift has been trained correctly in the old ways of a sword master, or if it's them two actually having an actual fight for real. I really don't know. It depends when this is set. But this Duncan's got none of the charisma, none of the emotion. If anything, and I'm terrified to say this, and I'd like to apologise in advance, he looks a little bit like Steven Seagal. No, cut that out. I didn't say that. Sorry, God, look at him. This is so good because Sightale is like, he's not Harkonnen, but doesn't he just carry the same sort of awful energy as the Harkonnens do in part 1 and part 2? You get part 1 and you get the Baron and you get Raban, and you get part 2 and you get like Fade. And now it's like, what if Fade bleached his, what if Fade grew his hair and then bleached it? It's like every film you get a worse copy. I've just had a memory. This is coming back to me. Does anybody know? Well, we all know about family atomics. Every family has a secret cache of atomic missiles from a million years ago. Just in case a big war broke out. Atomics are completely forbidden. You are not allowed to use atomics against human enemies, which is why Paul uses atomics on the wall and not the Empire in part 2. There is another type of post-atomic weapon which is awful, and they are called stonecutters, not to be confused with stonemasons. A stonecutter is some sort of like semi-atomic horrible bomb device that is like what do you call that type of fire or explosion that can cut through locks? It's like a sodium fire or something, or a sodium bomb, where it burns so hot and so consistently it melts through everything. I may not be using the right terms. I don't know what I'm talking about. A stonecutter bomb is kind of a thermite. Thank you. So a stonecutter bomb is a cross between a semi-nuclear weapon and a thermite weapon. And it will burn down to the core of your planet if you make one big enough. But another thing that it does, and look here, we've got Fremen. We've got a pulled hood, and then we've got the bald shaved head of Paul Atreides. Fremen. Unfortunately, the other thing that a stonecutter will do is, if you are unfortunate enough to be near it, it will melt your eyes. It burns out your eyes, and then you're blind forever. And in Fremen culture, if you go blind, you are of no use to your siege, and you get cast out into the desert to die. So this creates some cultural challenges, because Paul might not be able to see how many fingers I'm holding up, but he can still see through his prescience through time. And he reads the future to see the present in a way that freaks everybody out. And again, we just got to wait. My YouTube apparently does not like me pausing and talking for 10 minutes. I do apologize. Oh, yeah, my family have got those thermobaric weapons. Yeah, is thermobaric a word for, like, stuff that burns insanely hot? Like, it's more... Don't do my boy Jason like that. I take that back. Actually, that's for Byakugan. Fake fans. Yeah, so Paul's got 4D vision. Let's not even... So, again, like, how much should I talk to you guys about Children of Dune? Because there's more to it than that. There's, like, the secret Fremen siege called Jakaduku, where some people go, and there's characters who become other people there, and are, like, drugged on spice overdosing, like, till they become crazy, and then they're reintroduced into society. That Gola, Duncan Idaho, is, like, for those who've read the books, essentially a trap by Skytail and another character that we've not yet seen. All the houses have turned against Paul. Everyone wants to kill him. There's a Fremen conspiracy, which is undermined by a proactive Paul hate group, which are actually Paul loyalists, designed to be Paul haters, so that other conspirators come to them, and so that they can be nullified. There's the rule that's happening between his mum and Gurley Halleck. There's what happens with Alia and her power play, and how that's fought by the return of Jessica, and who's really fighting who inside whose body in that situation. Like, how much is this film cherry picking? LSD, let's go!
I'm not afraid to die.
Let's all just take mushrooms and watch Dune. Look at him. Look at that tilt of the head. Look at that dead behind the eyes. Oh, man. This, what is the difference between Dune and Dune Messiah? I think it's 12 years. I think this is Paul after 12 years of galactic genocide. Like, mate, just take a nap.
But I must not die. Yet.
A Chris knife fight on the back of a sandworm with your ex-girlfriend? I'm not ready. I'm not ready emotionally. Okay, right. Guys, do you have any other thoughts? Let's play this one more time from start to finish, but I don't want to make this video super long. Again, I don't know about these next two books in the Great Dune trilogy as much as I know about Dune, but watching this has made a few things come back. I'm really excited. Oh my god, please tell me they're going to do like a special screening thing where they're going to play Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2 the night before Dune Part 3, and it'll go to 12 o'clock and then it would be like a special Dune Part 3 screening. Oh, please tell me that's going to happen. I will travel to most parts of this country if there's a cinema that does that.
If we have a girl,
I know!
what will we name her?
I know, Fen, I didn't. It sat with me.
Her name should be Ganima. She'll need to be strong. Like her mother.
I haven't even started telling you about Leto.
What if it's a boy?
I would name him Leto. So he would have the wisdom of his grandfather.
War feeds on itself. The more I fight, the more our enemies fight back.
Paul Bettany. Doesn't he look like Paul Bettany a little bit? Right there. Sorry. He does.
I'm doing the best I can to protect my family. How did Father do it?
Your father never started a war.
I'm not afraid to die. But I must not die. Yet.
It's incredible. I was saying during the first Dunes 1 and 2, back when we were watching his films and I was fanboying, I was just like, this is a great book to make into a 2-part film with Denis Villeneuve, and he is just one of my favorite directors of all time. For all the right reasons, as long as he's working with a particular editor. I forget his name. There's an editor he works with. He's got a slightly mundane name. He's a lovely fella. But when he and Villeneuve work together, they create the best work. But I was always saying, like, there's no way they're going to make a film out of Dune Messiah. They're going to leave it as a duology. They're not going to make a trilogy because that book is so miserable. It's so miserable. But it's going to be so good. Yeah, the importance of editors is amazing. One of Christopher Nolan's biggest weaknesses, sometimes, is the editing that happens to some of his films. But that's a completely different conversation with examples, which I will do right here on the Megaverse further down the line. Guys, please tell me your thoughts on Dune, the Dune films in general, the Dune trailer in general, Dune Part 3, and your expectations. Again, I don't actually know the later books so well, and this trailer being released today caught me completely off guard. So if I've missed stuff or gotten stuff wrong, get your sweet self in the comments and please correct me. I will talk about Dune with you all day long. But damn, we're back, baby. All right, follow me on Film Cram for those Dune recaps. Ooh, there it is. Just there we go. And follow me on this channel. Click like, click subscribe, or hang out with us live on twitch.tv/Mikey Mega Mega. I'll make sure the links to everything are in the description. Have a lovely day and take care. Peace.